Welcome back to my channel. Roman Reigns and CM Punk confront Austin Theory after he revealed himself as Mystery Man at WWE RAW. What we witnessed on Raw was one of those moments that makes you stop, stare at your screen, and seriously question whether the people in charge understand the basic principles of storytelling, logic, and character protection. Austin Theory finally stepped out of the shadows and exposed himself as the mystery man who had been attacking members of the Raw roster for months, a reveal that should have been the launchpad for a major character reinvention. Instead of allowing that moment to breathe, instead of letting the audience fully absorb what this means for Theory and the future of Raw, WWE immediately rushed into chaos by inserting Roman Reigns and CM Punk into the exact same segment to confront him. On paper, that sounds massive. In reality, it was a creative disaster that managed to hurt everyone involved and left fans feeling insulted rather than excited. Let's be clear about why this feels so wrong from the very start. Roman Reigns and CM Punk are two of the biggest personalities professional wrestling has ever produced. These are men defined by ego, dominance, and an almost pathological inability to coexist with anyone who threatens their spotlight. They have been slowly circling one another, trading barbs and planting seeds for a collision that should feel monumental when it finally happens. And yet, we are suddenly asked to believe that these two rivals can stand shoulder to shoulder, unified in purpose, to deal with Austin Theory. Not a monster heel. Not an unstoppable force. Austin Theory, a performer who has spent the better part of the last year drifting in and out of relevance, taking selfies, and struggling to escape the gravitational pull of the mid-card. The idea that Roman Reigns and CM Punk would put aside their mutual disdain to address him is not bold storytelling, it is narrative nonsense. What makes this even more infuriating is the way WWE framed the entire situation. We are expected to accept that Roman and Punk, two men obsessed with legacy and supremacy, would treat Austin Theory as enough of a threat to warrant a joint confrontation. At the same time, the segment constantly reminded us through dialogue and body language that neither man actually respects Theory. The result is a bizarre contradiction where Theory is simultaneously portrayed as insignificant and important, a dangerous instigator and an annoying child. That kind of mixed messaging doesn't create intrigue. It creates confusion and apathy. The real frustration, though, comes from how badly this segment devalues everyone involved. Roman Reigns is a multi-time world champion who has been booked as an unstoppable force for years. CM Punk is the self-proclaimed best in the world, a returning icon whose mere presence electrifies crowds. These are not characters who should be wasting television time acting like hall monitors, lecturing a younger talent about his behavior. Roman should be focused on championships and challengers worthy of his status. Punk should be chasing gold, settling scores, and delivering the kind of high-stakes feuds fans dreamed about during his absence. Instead, both men were reduced to props in a segment designed to scold Austin Theory for playing dress-up as a masked attacker. It is insulting to Roman, insulting to Punk, and perhaps most damaging of all, insulting to the audience. To fully understand how badly this went off the rails, we need to walk through the segment piece by piece. Earlier in the night, Austin Theory had already unmasked himself backstage. He delivered a promo explaining that he was tired of being overlooked, tired of being treated like a joke, and tired of living in the shadow of so-called legends. His attacks, he claimed, were meant to force the locker room and management to take him seriously. It was standard villain motivation, nothing revolutionary, but it was a step in the right direction. For the first time in a while, Theory felt like he had a clear direction and a sense of purpose. About an hour later, Raw General Manager Adam Pearce summoned Theory to the ring to explain himself and face the consequences of his actions. Theory entered with confidence, smug and self-satisfied, acting as though he had just pulled off something brilliant. His promo in the ring continued the same themes of being underestimated and disrespected. It was serviceable, but it lacked specificity. He didn't clearly explain why he targeted the people he did, or what his ultimate endgame was beyond demanding respect. That vagueness could have been addressed over time had WWE been patient. Unfortunately, patience is not something this creative team is known for. Without warning, the arena lighting shifted to that unmistakable red glow, and Roman Reigns made his entrance. The reaction was massive, as it always is. Roman took his time, soaking in the moment, letting the tension build as Austin Theory stood there trying to process what was happening. Roman entered the ring and locked eyes with Theory, saying nothing, his silence more intimidating than any promo. Before Roman could even speak, CM Punk's music hit, and the building exploded. Suddenly, we had Roman Reigns and CM Punk standing in the same ring, face to face, for the first time since Punk's return. That should have been a moment reserved for a storyline centered entirely around them. Instead, it was awkwardly grafted onto Austin Theory's reveal. Theory, to his credit, didn't shrink away. He leaned into his role, pointing out that he had to attack half the roster just to get legends like Roman and Punk to acknowledge him. He accused them of clinging to power they didn't deserve and positioned himself as the future trying to take what should be his. Roman's response was cold and dismissive, reducing Theory to a nameless kid playing dress-up, someone who hadn't earned the right to even be acknowledged. The delivery was devastating, and while it made Roman look dominant, it also crushed whatever credibility Theory was supposed to have gained from his reveal. CM Punk followed up with an even sharper edge. He begrudgingly agreed with Roman, then pivoted to make the situation personal by claiming Theory had attacked people Punk cares about. He issued an ultimatum: apologize and leave under his own power, or face the consequences of Roman and Punk putting their differences aside to teach him a lesson. The crowd loved the idea of seeing Roman and Punk unite, even briefly, but that excitement came at the expense of the story's internal logic. Theory's response was to laugh, openly mocking both men and declaring that he wanted this confrontation. He claimed that taking out Roman Reigns and CM Punk in the same night would cement his place in the main event. Then, in a moment that defied all common sense, he attacked Roman first. The visual of Theory swinging on Roman Reigns was jarring, not because it was bold, but because it was completely unbelievable. Roman barely reacted, and the attack only served to remind everyone of the massive gap between them. This led to the decision to make a handicap match for the main event, with Theory facing Roman and Punk. Adam Pearce approved it on the fly, and just like that, Austin Theory's big reveal had turned into a setup for advancing Roman versus Punk. The match itself was solid in terms of execution, but the story it told was a mess. Roman and Punk constantly argued, refused to work together smoothly, and prioritized their own egos over winning efficiently. Theory exploited there, regardless of whether it makes sense. That approach might keep Roman strong, but it suffocates everyone else. CM Punk's character also suffered, as his motivations in this segment didn't align with the selfish, anti-establishment persona that made him compelling in the first place. In the end, this entire angle existed not to elevate Austin Theory, but to accelerate Roman versus Punk. Theory was a plot device, nothing more. And that is the real tragedy. WWE had an opportunity to reinvent Austin Theory and instead chose the laziest possible path. Roman and Punk deserve better, Austin Theory deserved better, and fans deserve storytelling that respects their intelligence. What we got instead was chaos masquerading as star power, and a reminder of why WWE continues to struggle with building new stars.